Did you know one man not only became the first African American to earn a Ph.D. from Harvard, but also went on to co-found the NAACP and challenge the very foundations of racism in America? His name was W.E.B. Du Bois, and his story is one of brilliance, courage, and a relentless fight for justice. Stay with us as we uncover his untold struggles, bold ideas, and even surprising details about his personal life and legacy. From the halls of Harvard to the streets of activism, this journey will keep you hooked. Let's dive into the life of W.E.B. Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois was born in 1868 in the small town of Great Barrington, Massachusetts. At the time, slavery had just ended, but racism still shaped much of America. Du Bois' childhood was unusual compared to many African Americans of his generation. Growing up in the North, in a relatively tolerant community, he did not face the daily oppression that his peers in the South endured. His neighbors, both black and white, encouraged his education and recognized his extraordinary potential. Even as a boy, he carried himself with confidence, believing that knowledge would open doors that prejudice tried to keep closed. By his teenage years, Du Bois was already showing signs of genius. He excelled in school, read constantly, and dreamed of a future where education could transform lives. His community believed in him, raising funds to help him continue his studies. This early foundation of support would become the bedrock of his philosophy, that a well-educated generation could uplift not just themselves, but the entire race. Du Bois's brilliance carried him to Harvard University, where he stood out as a young black scholar in a world that rarely welcomed people like him. In 1895, he became the first African American to earn a Ph.D. from Harvard. His achievement was not just personal, it was historic. Yet for Du Bois, Harvard was only the beginning. He traveled to Europe, studying at the University of Berlin, and later immersing himself in the culture of Germany. For the first time, he experienced a society where he was treated not simply as a black man, but as an intellectual. These years abroad shaped his worldview. He saw that racism was not inevitable, and he began to believe even more strongly that America could and must change. Returning to the United States, Du Bois was determined to use his knowledge for the advancement of his people. He became a pioneering scholar, producing groundbreaking works that changed the way America thought about race. In 1899, he published The Philadelphia Negro, the first major sociological study of black life in America. This work challenged stereotypes and revealed the deep connections between poverty, discrimination, and systemic inequality. But it was his 1903 masterpiece, The Souls of Black Folk, that cemented his legacy. In it, he introduced the powerful concept of double consciousness, the idea that black Americans were forced to see themselves through the eyes of a society that denied their worth, while still striving to live fully as Americans. That inner conflict, he argued, was both painful and defining. His words captured a truth that still resonates today. Du Bois believed in what he called the talented tenth, the idea that a small, educated leadership class of African Americans could uplift the entire race through knowledge, culture, and example. This belief set him at odds with another black leader of his time, Booker T. Washington, who emphasized vocational training and economic progress over political rights. Washington believed patience and gradual improvement would earn respect. Du Bois, however, demanded full civil rights, equality, and access to higher education. He argued that without political power and leadership, progress would always be limited. Their debate reflected a larger struggle within the African American community about the best path forward in a deeply unequal America. But Du Bois was not content to remain only a scholar. He became an activist, determined to put ideas into action. In 1909, he co-founded the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. As editor of its magazine, The Crisis, Du Bois reached millions with essays, stories, and calls to action. The magazine not only exposed racism, but also celebrated Black achievements in art, literature, and politics. For many African Americans, The Crisis became a voice of hope and a source of pride. Du Bois also looked beyond the United States. He believed that the struggle for racial equality was global, and he dedicated himself to Pan-Africanism, the movement for unity among people of African descent worldwide. He organized Pan-African congresses, bringing together activists, intellectuals, and leaders from across Africa and the diaspora. He saw the fight for freedom in America as part of a much larger story, the liberation of all people of African heritage from colonialism and oppression. This global vision set him apart and made him a truly international leader. Behind his public achievements, Du Bois's personal life was filled with both triumph and tragedy. He married twice and had children, facing the same joys and heartbreaks that come with family life. His home was a reflection of his character, filled with books, art, and discussions of ideas. He loved culture, music, and literature, and he carried himself with dignity and pride. Some criticized him for being elitist, but his belief was clear that knowledge, culture, and refinement were not luxuries, but essential tools in the fight for equality. His personal life revealed a man of great complexity, intensely intellectual, deeply proud, yet human in his struggles. Financially, Du Bois never sought wealth. He lived modestly compared to many prominent figures of his time. His true riches were his influence, his writings, and the generations of people he inspired. In his later years, he accepted an invitation from Ghana's first president, Kwame Nkrumah, to move to Africa. There, Du Bois worked on the Encyclopedia Africana, a massive project to document the history and achievements of people of African descent. In Ghana, he found a renewed sense of purpose and connection to the global struggle for freedom. In 1963, at the age of 95, W.E.B. Du Bois passed away. The very next day, Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. It was as if one torch was passed directly to the next generation. Throughout his life, Du Bois faced fierce opposition. He battled racism at every level, fought political enemies who sought to silence him, and even endured criticism from within his own community. Yet, his achievements cannot be denied. He was a pioneering sociologist, a historian who reclaimed Black history, and a political activist who demanded justice. His leadership in Pan-Africanism connected struggles across continents, making him one of the first global voices for racial equality. His vision, though radical in his time, laid the foundation for many of the freedoms we celebrate today. W.E.B. Du Bois was more than a scholar. He was a visionary who reshaped history and redefined what was possible for African Americans and for people of African descent across the globe. His words, his actions, and his courage continue to inspire generations. His life reminds us that the fight for justice is not won overnight. It requires knowledge, persistence, and a refusal to accept anything less than equality. If you enjoyed this journey into his life, stay with us for more untold stories of powerful figures who changed the world. Don't forget to join us next time as we uncover more voices of history that deserve to be heard.